there's a short list of things that really grind my gears, that really get past the armor and really, really get me activated. One of those being people who have money asking for money from people that have less money. That really bothers me. It really and truly does. Like if it's someone who is really falling on hard times, they're destitute, they've got the wife and kid situation where they're basically just trying to keep the lights on. They're not looking to bail themselves out of anything more, just they want to keep their heads above water. It's the human thing to do to try and help someone in that situation if you have the means to do so. That's generally, not all the time, but generally that's the right thing to do. Again, if you are capable of doing so. But there seems to be a rash going around Hollyweird, Chris, where we've got some rich folks. I would call them rich, at least. They're rich compared to you and I, because they've made more money in just a few years than you and I will probably make in our whole lives. But there seems to be this trend of e-begging from rich people. Now, I want you guys to hear me out on this one, because I was originally on one side of this debate, and when I actually looked into it, my opinion has very radically changed. There's a couple folks we're going to talk here. The first being Mr. James Vanderbeek, who I personally am a fan of as a human. He seemed like a really nice guy. He's a good actor. By every measure of any other person who has met him, have all said basically the same thing. He was the nicest guy, like just genuinely sweet, looked out for people, big family man. He's got like had 4 or 5 kids. The kids are still alive, for the record. James is no longer with us, but a big family man guy, very spiritual, like definitely made his peace with the afterlife before he left the mortal coil. And I'm sure all of you heard he was battling, I believe, it was colorectal cancer, which is virtually a death sentence to just about everyone who has it. He had, I think, like stage 4, that's like a 90+% mortality rate. That doesn't mean you should stop fighting, but the odds are not exactly in your favor. So where are you going with this, Jimbo? Real simple. So his family had started a GoFundMe, and the way that they phrased it was to help with the medical expenses that I'm sure James had accumulated, because medical treatment isn't free, especially when you're fighting cancer. Like that can add up really quickly, to the very least. And I'm sure that was one hell of a bill, especially towards the end. I'm sure it was 6 figures, maybe even low 7s, depending on the treatment that he got. I don't know. The family has not been transparent about really any of that. And given that they were asking for money, I would want to see receipts personally, because you never know. So here's my issue with this. I did not know this when I first heard that he passed. I just thought it was initially very sad. He's leaving behind his family. He's got small children. Like he has, one of them's like a baby. It's very, very sad to see that, to see a man leave behind like a beautiful family and a legacy and everything. So they raised approximately $2 million on the GoFundMe to cover medical expenses. Like that in and of itself, if that's true, that's fine. The part that I have an issue with is a month before James died. I'm going to give you the exact date here, guys. I just Googled this. January 9th this year, 2026. James Vanderbeek and his family essentially purchased a Texas ranch for $4.76 million. They already own a home, as I understand it, in California worth roughly $2 million that they were currently renting out and do make money off of. As I understand it, the family had been renting the property there since 2020 and essentially fell in love with its natural surroundings. So this is in Texas. So almost $5 million in Texas is a significant chunk of land because it's not expensive to live there. Like they're in the Austin area, but Austin ain't LA. It's not even close.
Mm-hmm. Right.
We're talking over 5,000 square feet on 36 acres. 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It has cabins, a pool, and a view of the Pedernales River. And they did that a month before he died. That's the part that I think I take issue with. And again, as I understand it, they have another house in California where they no longer live and they rent out.
Mhm.
In my opinion, if you're going to start asking for money, especially if it's like we've got medical bills to tackle, like that should be the situation where your back is against the wall, meaning like you have liquidated. I'll be conservative and say like 90% of the stuff that you can liquidate. You've sold cars you don't need, you've sold houses you don't need, you sold knickknacks you don't need. On top
Yeah.
of that, Mr. Vanderbeek, as I understand it, made nearly $1 million selling signed Varsity Blues jerseys that he was selling for $80 a pop. They sold like hotcakes because people were like, we're helping the guy out, we're helping them pay for medical bills.
Right.
So they were like $1 million liquid just off of that. And they had enough money to spend nearly $5 million on a ranch. As I understand it, their friends helped them with the down payment on it. So they didn't pay cash for the ranch, but that, in my opinion, Chris, that kind of further reinforces my point. Like if you're having to borrow money on this and you're asking the public for money, you're asking total strangers for money, that sounds like a very unnecessary purchase. In my opinion, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, listen, I agree. It's one thing if you are destitute and desperate, and it's like, guys, we have no way out of this. We don't want to ask for money, but we have to. But when you're talking about you have assets that are in the millions, and you're asking for people that may not have that money to give it to you, I think that's a little slimy. That's a little e-beggy.
Yeah.
I think that this kind of stuff sets itself up to a lot of fraud and scams, because how do you actually know that the money that was given is going to the thing that you thought it was going towards?
Yeah.
How do you know that that's going towards the medical bills if that's what they're saying it's supposed to go to? How do you know that they already didn't pay off the medical bills, that they didn't have sort of an underwriter or something, that there was $1 million worth of treatment, but we got that written down to $300,000? And then if she makes the $300,000 payment out of the $2 million, then what happens with the $1.7 million?
Yeah.
Like it is a unfortunate thing that happens in today's society, where when something like this happens, there's automatically a GoFundMe. I mean, we could look at the Carmelo Anthony, Austin, McCarthy situation, where they got $500,000 and then they moved into a big house, right? And blew through all that money. And now they're asking for more. And it's like, some of those people want their money back. They felt like they were scammed, but however it's worded in the actual GoFundMe description, it's like, you remember when Jerry Lawler and Roddy Piper, and it was like, oh, they're doing it for the kids, and Piper said he was going to give a portion of his money to the kids, and it's like, well, a portion of the money could be like 0.5%. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So you just never know. I feel bad for the kids, of course, but I think mom's running a scam.
Yeah, like on top of that, I'm not meaning to pick on Mr. Vanderbeek in particular, because again, he seemed like a really nice guy, and it's definitely not in good taste to speak over the dead, and he had nothing to do with this GoFundMe because it wasn't created until after he died. So I can't really pin that on him. That's more on his family. But his wife, for lack of a better explanation, seems like kind of a fucking Looney Tune, because I watched a long interview with her where she was basically categorizing herself as like a psychic healer. And Mr. Vanderbeek, as I understand it, for like the first year plus of the diagnosis, did not seek actual medical treatment. He tried to go the holistic route. Guys, I have nothing against holistic medicine, but it's not going to do shit against cancer. It's not. Like, especially when you're like stage 4, like colorectal, that's basically like you are going to die definitively if you don't do something radical right fucking now. And I'm sure his doctors were like, we need to get you in radiation chemotherapy right now if we're gonna even have a chance at trying to stop this.
Especially with something like cancer, if you're gonna have a shot to survive, early detection is 100% the key.
Yes. And it's sad because it's, I feel bad for his kids and everything. You know, one of his kids is not going to remember him at all just because they're too small and everything. And the rest of them are just going to remember the few short years they had with their father and that he died when they were young. That's horrible. But at the same time, that doesn't make me overlook what is very obviously grifting. And that bothers me. On the same token, you know, we said we're going to talk about more than one person. I originally wasn't going to talk about this, you know, and just be like, okay, it's fucked up, but whatever. But apparently this is starting like a bit of a trend. So for anyone who's ever watched the History Channel, Pawn Stars, you know, the Harrison family that owns Gold and Silver Pawn, to this day, I might add. Rick is the primary owner. Apparently he had to fight his mother once the old man passed for like who actually owned it. I think Rick got the majority of it because it was supposed to be passed to his son and not his wife. So Rick still owns the majority of it, which makes sense because he ran the shop. And his son Corey, who also works there, does own a piece of the shop. The Google doesn't really seem to say definitively how much of a percentage he has. It's, if I had to guess, guys, it's probably like 10 or 15%, maybe even less. But on top of that, guys, at peak when Pawn Stars was like the biggest show in history, he was making 50 grand an episode. And there are 700 episodes of that show. Do the math. Like that's millions of dollars that he would have made. So Corey was in a motorcycle accident recently. I ride motorcycles myself, so honestly, I hope he's okay. Apparently doesn't look that serious. He just got a little bit banged up. He's not paralyzed or anything like that, just like some really bad road rash and bruising and maybe some broken bones. So it's not life-threatening or anything. So Corey has started a GoFundMe to cover medical expenses for his motorcycle crash. He's looking for $16,000 and he's raised almost $14,000 of the $16,000. And according to Corey, like it's, you know, the 50,000 per episode that he used to get on Pawn Stars, in his words, was, quote, a very long time ago. Okay, well, time is really irrelevant. It's just like, how did you blow through all that money is really the question, because 50 grand a few years ago, we'll say 10 years ago, was worth more than 50 grand now, but 50 grand right now is still a lot of money. Like it's gone down a little, but it's not worth nothing. That's still
right. Yeah.
Nearly as high as the average salary in this country.
Yeah. You think he would be able to get 16 grand,
yeah,
you know, put together.
In particular, as I understand it, the motorcycle he crashed was worth $70,000. I guarantee you it's 15 in parts. It's a $70,000 motorcycle.
Yeah, right.
So
yeah, that's unbelievable. I'm going to do the math on that. Would you say 700 episodes?
We're going to say roughly 700 episodes, 50 grand per episode. That was, granted, the 50 grand was when it was at peak. So I'll tell you what, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Let's say 50 times 350 episodes. Let's give him a break. So 50K times 350.
That's still $17.5 million. And that's
a lot of money.
You know, during that time, he was also, you know, doing, you know, probably merch, personal appearances. I'm sure he wrote a book or something, or, you know what I mean? So what are these people doing with their money?
Exactly. And on top of that, he owns a stake and works at a successful business. So he still has that income that's coming in on top of that, which is probably an extra 100 plus a year, if I had to guess, to be conservative.
So what is he asking for money for?
That's
bizarre.
It's really strange because like Corey is younger than we are. He's in his early 40s, and Pawn Stars was big not that long ago, dude. Like 7 or 8 years ago, they were still filming episodes of that show, and I'm sure he was still earning a pretty considerable salary. And it just really begs the question, like, dude, where the hell is all the damn money going? The point where you're having to literally e-beg because you crashed your fucking motorcycle that apparently you're way too poor to own, because like you're riding a 70 grand motorcycle, but you can't afford a hospital bill. But okay, so here's where it gets interesting, Chris. He got outed by his father, Rick. Rick called his own son out on social media and said, I don't understand why he has a GoFundMe. He's insured by me because I'm his employer, and I've already paid the medical bills.
Oh.
By his own father. So he's just asking for money at this point. I'm no judge, Chris, but wouldn't that constitute as fraud? I would say so.
Again, how is it? I need 16 grand for medical bills and other stuff. You know what I mean? Like how?
All right,
I'm
gonna read it.
I guess it wouldn't be fraud if you said I want 16 grand for medical bills and cheeseburgers, and then you proceeded to buy $16,000 worth of cheeseburgers. You know.
All right, I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it as stated, and I'm going to let you give us your impression of this because I have mine. Help Corey Harrison recover after a near fatal crash, and has like photos of the damage to his body. Like he's got significant like bruising on his ribs. It probably broke his ribs. Let me see. Corey Harrison's recovery fund covers ongoing medical transport and essential therapy bills. And it just kind of shows the damage to his body. Here, I'll share my screen, guys, so you can see it.
Again, like where's the check and balance system to prove that money's actually being paid to a therapy center for?
I agree.
Whatever.
So you can see that's probably a broken rib. Like that's pretty serious bruising. He may have had damage to his hip. I love that there's like a booze bottle right there. That's classy. I'm guessing that's blood that he pissed out.
Ugh.
I'm not sure. Again, I'm not a doctor, guys, but all right. So Corey Harrison's recovery fund covers ongoing medical transport and essential therapy bills. So I'm gonna read that, Chris, as he's asking for money for his medical bills. Is that your read on this?
Read it one more time.
Sure. Okay. I'm reading it exactly as stated. Corey Harrison's recovery fund covers ongoing medical transport and essential therapy bills.
Okay. So medical transport and essential therapy. That's what that money should be going towards.
I'm reading that as like, I need help with my medical bills, essentially. Like that's the shorthand. It's not, I need to get back on my feet, or I'm in financial trouble. It's more like I got in a motorcycle accident. I can't pay my medical bills. Help me. And according to his father, not only is he insured, but Rick has already paid the bills.
So, yeah, and they're a family of means. So
yes.
What's his therapy going to cost? They'll be able to pay. Yeah, that's super grift. I mean, that would be like a normal person, like walking out their front door, tripping on the stoop, twisting their ankle and going, "Hey guys, help me recover from my twisted ankle. Send me $5 grand." Like that is the definition of a grift.
It is strange. Something like I saw that and I couldn't believe it.
Now pay me for it. You know what I mean?
Like I'm famous. Please pay me because you watched my show. It's like, well, I watched your show, dude. That's the end of that contract. Like I helped you get ratings, which is what gave you the paycheck that you got. So that's the beginning and end of that relationship. That's really all anyone owes you at this point. So, and maybe stop being an idiot and reckon, because this is not his first motorcycle accident, guys. It's like his third. Maybe you shouldn't be on bikes, Corey, because apparently you fucking suck at riding. Because
take a motorcycle hiatus.
Yeah, I mean, for transparency, guys, I own I've owned 3 total, but I own 2 motorcycles currently. I've been riding for the better part of 17 years. Never been in a single accident. I've had a couple of very close calls where another driver, not me, was doing something real fucking stupid and didn't see me. And fortunately, I saw them and was able to compensate for their stupidity. But my father, I'll use him as an example. My father has been riding a motorcycle nonstop, no interruptions, since he was 18 years old. He is going to be 83 in November. So he's been riding for nearly 70 years at this point. Never been in an accident. Again, had a few oh shit moments, some of which I saw with my own 2 eyes because I was riding with him. But even all that time, never laid a bike down, never been hit, like never been in an accident. Maybe my dad's just living a charmed life. If so, great. But, he's in his 80s and he's still doing it. Apparently, Corey just doesn't belong on a fucking motorcycle.